As well as tracking my S2000, my colleague Rob and I have been preparing a Citroen C1 to take part in the CityCarCup. We've done as much of the work ourselves as we can, with our kids helping out, and pretty much the only thing we've had to get someone else to do is the welding, which we're not exactly experts at. With the car a little distance off being race ready, but completely ready to go on track, we thought it would be a good idea to get it out there and give it a go at Mallory Park. So that's where we found ourselves, when it started raining. So, after some sighting laps, I took the Citroen C1 out for what was pretty much the first time I'd actually driven it past just down to a local MOT station. You might notice that although we've got 2 seats in the car, there's only me driving and Rob isn't passengering. That's because he managed to injure his back immediately before the track day, so he wanted to save his seat time for when he was actually doing some driving, which is completely understandable. As you can see, there aren't too many other folk out on track, for some reason. To be fair, I was more than a little nervous myself, as I hadn't driven this car very much at all. I'd never driven on the NS2R tyres we were using, let alone in the wet, and I haven't actually done very much wet driving on circuits at all either. Thankfully, the car actually felt great. It was really well balanced, it was very predictable, and actually the wet weather kind of helped get used to where the limit of grip was without going too fast. Not that there was too much danger of going too fast in the C1 anyway. I'm also aware the camera mount position could be a little bit lower, and we've got some extensions to sort out for the next time we're on track. So this is the first flying lap that I did the car at all, and the standing water on Gerrard's this first corner really was there for most of the day. It only dried up right at the end. Because of how the corner's set up, that doesn't affect things too much, but it did make passing a little bit more difficult than it could be. One of the reasons that we chose Mallory for the first track day for the C1 and to test it out a bit was, first of all, it's really good value for money if you just want to get out on track, and secondly, it's a nice short circuit, so if you want to go through the same corners again and again and try different things, see how the car handles, it's just a really good place to try that. Later in the day, with a bit more traffic and a bit more confidence, I was able to really start playing around with how the car was feeling around Gerrard's. I haven't driven any front-wheel drive stuff on track before, and it was really good to get a feel for understeer, oversteer as you put on the power and lift it off. Great fun. One of the cars that was being rather more tentative in the wet was this X-Type, which we'll get back to later. However, given the fun I've been having, it was definitely time for Rob to have a go. Of course, it's worth noting that Rob had to contend with the extra weight of having a driver and passenger on board when he was taking his turn. Unfortunately, Rob didn't manage to get a single flying lap in before the checkered flag was shown to bring people in. At Mallory, there isn't a route to the infield and the paddock without the circuit closing, so they ended up waving the checkered flag to get some more folk who looked like had turned up a little bit late. Take 2 at Rob having a shot out on track, leaving just behind the X-Type this time. The X-Type shot off this time, seeming a lot more confident than when I'd been on track with it earlier. This is foreshadowing. Unfortunately, the X-Type ran out of grip in the damp conditions and understeered into the barrier off the first part of the chicane, which meant Rob got a red flag to his second attempt at a session, and we ended up going straight back into the pits again. This interruption also lasted a great deal longer because they had to do barrier repairs. The X-Type did manage to get repaired enough to get back out on track later on, which was something. In the end, we both managed to get a decent number of laps in on the morning sessions, even though the conditions didn't noticeably improve. A lot of people had decided to chance the conditions anyway, and there was a hell of a lot more traffic out on circuit. And it was that traffic that proved to be our undoing at the end of the day. You can see Rob checking the mirrors as a faster mover, a Mini, comes past us. Mid-corner, it comes off the gas and the back steps out. Rob slows, anticipating a problem. Whoop! Lift off oversteer. Thankfully, no harm done to the car at least. It turns out that the circuit had taken a bit of a battering and we'd collected quite a lot of it in our front left wheel well. Thanks to the marshals for clearing things up, and sorry for the red flag. Finishing up, a lap each from Rob and myself, and the comparison between the two from later on in the day when it was actually dry, just before some more rain came. time remaining anyway. Eagle-eyed viewers, or at least those who are capable of spotting a large white MX-5 on the footage, might have noticed that I used 2 different laps between Rob's fastest and the comparison. That would be because I found a very slightly faster lap when I was going back through the footage, but I'd already set up the comparison and really didn't want to go through all of that again. It was an awesome day and we got to give the C1 a proper thrashing. It held up magnificently and actually attracted quite a bit of attention. We ended up taking a couple of people out for passenger laps just to get a feel for it, and it sounds like we might have at least one convert to the C1 club as well. Hopefully this has been interesting, informative, or at least entertaining, and I'll see you next time.